Welcome to Books and Booze, a bookish and wine-induced podcast. Whether you're a fan of books, drinking, or true crime, this is the place for you. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is Leanne from the Easter True Crime. Was it Easter?
Yeah, it was Easter. I did Easter.
Which one was your case?
Mine was the guy who went on the crazy rampage where he was like shooting cops out the car window.
Yeah, that was great.
Near Atlanta and in Florida.
So today we decided to bring you the Drunk Book Tag, which is actually, it originates from booktube on YouTube. And we've decided to answer these, how many questions is it? 12 or 9?
10.
10 questions.
Yeah.
So the first question is wine coolers. You're 16 and you finally managed to sneak one of your mum's Smirnoff Ices. I used to drink those a lot when I was growing up.
I'm allergic to beer. And
really?
so it was always cider or alternative things like fortified wine was a big part of my teen years. But yeah, when Smirnoff Ices came out, it was game changing because we didn't really have ciders too much.
Oh, in America?
Then. Well, yeah, no, not too much.
Okay.
Until later, but Smirnoff Ices, yeah. Or Mike's Hard Lemonade.
What is it about beer that gets you?
I'm allergic to hops.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So actually, little did I know when I was also a teenager and chronically with bronchitis, hops and marijuana are in the same family.
Oh, that's horrible.
So if you're allergic to hops, you're allergic to the other, which is why I was sick a lot in high school, and I didn't realize it until years later.
Like, I'm sure your life is great, but this doesn't sound like a life worth living.
It's much better now.
Yeah.
I stick with wine, hard liquor, and don't smoke weed.
Have you ever tried cannabis oil?
I don't think so.
I have got like hemp tablets, which is just an all natural thing. You can get it in any of the chemists to help with my anxiety. But
I can't drink hemp milk. It makes my throat swell up.
Wow.
Because it's got the same. I mean, it's all in the same family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so...
Side note.
Whatever. What is one of your most guilty pleasure reads? You can answer that first, Leanne.
I took this question at face value about when I was 16-ish. I was already living outside of the home. Like, I had left my mom's house when I was 15 or so, and so I was living in this gross squat house with, like, a bunch of guys who were way older than me, and it was just weird, whatever. But one of my very best friends worked at a bookshop, and she let me borrow from the bookshop without returning this series called Sunglasses After Dark. I think there's 4 books, but I had it just in one. It's called the Sonya Blue series, and it was like about a vampire.
Is this
lady
like before Twilight?
Way before Twilight. I don't remember a lot from it, but I loved it. So, like, basically, she was a vampire, but not a full vampire, because when the guy turned her into a vampire, she didn't fully die or something. I don't remember. But she was a total badass, and it was, like, 4 books in one. And it was this big, heavy book with a blue cover, and the chick on the front looked so cool and sexy, and she was such an awesome character. And I remember hiding it from my roommates. Because I was so embarrassed about liking a vampire book. And, like, I was, I didn't want to be... Because, like, back then, I had, like, dyed hair and tattoos and, like, wore black all the time. And everyone's like, you're a goth.
Nothing's changed.
My hair is pink now, thank you.
Hot pink, it's gorgeous.
But I was never a goth. And I was really embarrassed. Like, I hated when people be like, oh, are you goth? And so even with my roommates, I was like, I would hide it because I was like, vampires are just for goths. And I don't want to, I don't want people to think that, like, I think vampires are cool. But I think this book is really cool. So, yeah, that was my guilty pleasure. Like, literally for years. I read it probably 5 or 6 times.
I love that.
And I'm still not goth. I'm punk. Damn it.
Well... When I was growing up, I used to love vampires. There was a movie, I don't know if you ever saw it, called The Little Vampire.
That feels familiar to me, but I don't...
It's like a little boy, I can't remember fully now, but he's got, like, a friend that is a vampire, and they're, like, best buds. And I don't really remember much else about it. But anyway, I used to be such a freak. My mum used to come into my bedroom and they had bunk beds. And I used to dangle off of the top bunk by hooking my legs over the side of the bunk bed and say that's how I was going to sleep. And that's how my mother would find me.
I love this.
Yeah.
As a mother, I'd be like, cool. Whatever you do.
Yeah, I was a bit of a freak.
You'll be in your bed once your feet fall asleep. Good night.
Just drop your head on the floor halfway through the night.
All right. What's your wine cooler? What's your 16-year-old guilty pleasure?
You know, if I could say a bunch of books that I used to read at 16, but I've decided to just give you just like a normal guilty pleasure kind of genre that I enjoy. And it's because I'm interviewing the author soon. Her name is Kenny-Anna May, and her debut novel, The One, is getting released in June, July. So if the long-time listeners will know this, but I am obsessed with The Bachelor. Yeah. And so The One is kind of like, not a rip-off, that's a bad word to say, but it is about a show called The One.
Like
and
riffing on.
Yeah.
Not ripping off, but riffing on.
Yes.
That's a positive spin.
It goes into like the 3 final contestants and just life behind like fall in love like no one's watching, and what happens behind the cameras and stuff like that. And it says that it's really good for people that like the show Unreal, which I actually just started watching, which is great. And obviously The Bachelor, which I just started Hannah Beast's season in the USA, so that's great. Kenny-Anna May is a scriptwriter. I think she did Home and Away and like 2 or 3 other really good TV shows. So I'm really excited to read this book. And yeah, The Bachelor is just my guilty pleasure. So things like that. Chris Harrison, the host of The Bachelor, actually released a book. I can't remember what it was called, Letters to Something. He released a book a few years ago, and while I didn't think that was amazing, it's, you know, I would read anything that man produces because I love The Bachelor. Nice. Do you like The Bachelor?
I've never actually seen The Bachelor. I have seen a couple of episodes of Unreal, and so I do documentary filmmaking, not reality filmmaking, and there's a big difference. But even with my work, that was great what happened behind scenes. Can you recreate that? I get that, but it's much less dramatic in documentary because it's like, hey, you fed the chickens, can you do it again? And not like, can you make out with the guy in the hot tub again? But
that would be so fun. Just instruct people through life. Oh, side note, I have an interview on Tuesday to become part of like a talent agency and get featured in commercials and films and stuff.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's the agency that does the films like Tomb Raider, The In-Betweeners and stuff like that. So that's going to be really interesting. Nice. I'll probably space out and get freaked out before I go, but
I'm sure you'll do fine. Like, you're super charismatic and you're adorable and you're beautiful and you'll be fine.
Thank you. So in between this, we're going to be doing Never Have I Ever, a drinking game. Okay. So if one of us has done something, we have to
glasses
drink.
In hand.
Leanne is drinking a rosé.
Some rosé, I don't know.
Some kind of rosé, and I'm drinking some kind of red. That's
mine had a really cute label, and it was like $11 off if you bought 2, so.
Bargain.
it hit all my marks.
So, do you want to do the first Never Have I Ever?
Okay. Never have I ever flown in a helicopter.
Cheers.
I have not either.
No, but I have.
Oh.
So if you have, you drink.
Okay, go ahead.
Damn it. My partner now, Mark, the night we met, there was a guy in the helicopter business who Mark almost got into a huge fight with because this helicopter guy liked me and wasn't happy that I was out on a date with Mark. But yeah, I went on a couple of dates with him and flew in a helicopter, just the 2 of us. I flew the helicopter myself, and I even went in a helicopter, landed in a vineyard, and had a wine lunch. Sorry, Mark, you are way better. But it was pretty cool. It goes down in history.
Oh. Yeah, that's it's so funny because, like, in my work in doing peace building and international stuff, like, riding in helicopters is super common, and I always feel, like, a little awkward that I never have, and, like...
Do you want to?
Yes, I want to! I want to do it with, like, the doors open, like, you know, in movies about Vietnam, like, they always have the... I don't know, it's stupid. I just have this very, like, romantic idea of myself, like, in a helicopter with my helmet on, and, like... I don't know, CB radios or whatever. I don't know. One day it's going to be awesome for me, but not today.
Well, when I did the helicopter and they gave me the, what is it called, like the stick, so I could fly the helicopter, I almost plummeted us to the ground because it is so sensitive. The second you touch it, if you even just twitch, it just goes vroom. So yeah, I didn't have much time behind the wheel. We'll call it that.
The stick.
Okay, so the second question is beer. You've made it to college and you're hosting your first kegger. Pick your favorite new adult or college-aged book.
I really struggled with this one because I don't really know what new adult or college-aged book means. And even after I watched the video that you sent me, I wasn't quite sure. And I struggled a lot. And I sort of finally came on this book that one of my best friends in the world sent me. Probably it was a longer ago than I want to admit. It feels like just yesterday. But it's called A Visit from the Goon Squad.
Okay.
And it's like a novel, but a novel made up of short stories about a sort of a collection of characters who are facing adulthood. It sort of tracks them through this life, and most of they're all based in, I think, Southern California. There's a lot of music industry stuff, but a lot of them are sort of facing adulthood, loss of innocence, searching for happiness and meaning, and dealing with aging. But like all the characters are really self-destructive and in different ways, and they're all really lost. I need to reread it, but I remember it being really impressive and really identifying with a lot of the characters who were particularly at the ages that I was when I read it, which was probably in my early mid-20s.
Okay.
Where I was like, I feel like I'm getting old, but I also wasn't old, but I was dealing with, like, how do I want to be? Who do I want to be? How do I deal with this stuff that's already happened? And, like, having a really rich history as a younger person.
Yeah, so it's like coming of age.
Fuck up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one was really good.
I find, do you know the website Goodreads.com?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Goodreads.
I find that it helps me so much if it's a book that I haven't read for a long time, because I try and get really in depth with my reviews when I've got time. So if it's a book that I haven't read for years, then it's something I can kind of go back to and be like, oh yeah, now I remember. So that actually happens almost every month, really.
I did that. I was on Goodreads a lot researching for this podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that thing that happened in the book. And then I was like, maybe it's not a good fit after all, because now that I remember that part, it weirds me out, and I don't want to talk about it anymore.
My choice, I actually really struggled with this because new adult, college, especially children kind of as main characters, I really dislike those books. It's just a preference. I can't connect with them at all. But one that I absolutely adored, much to my surprise, was Looking for Alaska by John Green.
I don't know that. Look, I'm just writing everything you say about Looking for Alaska.
Have you read any John Green before?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I think you actually might really like him. The Fault in Our Stars.
Yes!
Yeah.
That one was so good. Okay. Wait, and is he the one that did Turtles All the Way Down?
Yes. Yep.
That was one of my crying ones that I struck off the list for later in the podcast. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. So, Looking for Alaska, I'll tell you about the premise first. So it's this guy called Miles, better known as Pudge, who leaves Florida in search of the Great Perhaps. He attends a boarding school and becomes friends with a group of teens who, they're all incredibly smart and talented, but they're also really reckless and rebels. So Alaska, who I really just felt was very relatable to me, and I just connected with her wholeheartedly on this. She is this emotional mess of a girl, hey, mysterious, a feminist, and a bookworm. There's a quote on the back of my edition of the book, and it goes, "If people were rain, I was drizzle and she was a hurricane." So I would be the she in that quote. But so Pudge falls hopelessly in love with her, and she sweeps him.
Of course he does, because we're like hurricane girls.
Yeah.
Are irresistible.
Exactly.
Fuck the fairy princess. What's the manic pixie?
Oh, just
manic pixie dream girl. I'm pretty sure manic pixie dream girl is the thing where they're like, we're sweet and adorable.
Yeah.
Fuck that. You know what?
No one wants you.
You know what
boring
everybody loves is a fucking crazy bitch with
challenge.
Yes. Rein us in.
So Pudge falls in love with this challenge and wants to rein her in. And she sweeps him carelessly into her chaotic world. It's a very exotic book that, amidst all the drama and intrigue, there's a lot of information into different cultures and religions, which I really liked. And it gave me so much to think about. Like, one of the other things is, how do you get out of the labyrinth of suffering? And the answer is to forgive.
I don't like that.
You don't like it?
Forgiveness is a sticky wicket. And
it depends on the circumstance.
I think it really depends on how you define the word. And I feel like I have complicated things around forgiveness because I'm a pedant in that like way. That, okay.
Yeah.
But sorry. I was taking. Go ahead.
But yeah, I found it just like spine chilling. It was brilliant. And when I first started reading it, and this was years ago, so it's quite an old book, but even back then I was like, this book might be for younger people than what I should have normally been reading. But after reading it and upon reflection, I was like, no, actually, you could read this book at any stage of your life and you would always take away something new from it, because it's just riddled in messages, and I loved it. So yeah, looking for Alaska. Never have I ever dyed my hair and had it turn out terribly. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm gonna drain my glass on that one. Yes.
So apparently I just got the lowdown of Leanne's hair story, which is, I think her hair looks amazing now, but apparently it started off as orange and green. But now it's hot pink and it's gorgeous.
Yes. So the story of my hair today wasn't that bad, all things considered. It was accident upon accident, and it is now like a raspberry red.
It's awesome.
Which is, okay, I'm not mad at it. Like, it's cute. It looks okay with my skin tone. I have, like, dark Mediterranean, like, olive skin. So if I go to yellow or green or whatever, I look very orange. It's cute. It is not what the bottle said, blood red.
She wanted the vampire vibe.
Yeah.
Now that she's not scared of what her friends think of her anymore.
Now that I'm no longer worried about being a goth, because fuck it, whatever. No, I have had so many hair missteps. I've literally been dyeing my hair since I'm 11 years old. My grandma Dee, who, if you know me, you'll hear about her a lot, helped me dye my hair blue, purple, and red when I was like 11 or 12. My mom was pissed. I've had my hair melted off because I bleached it. Because in the States, you can just get hair dye. You can just go and get bleach and get whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't need a license. You don't need ID. You can be literally 12 years old and go to the store and get bleach. And I have melted my hair more times than I care to tell people about.
Ooh.
Which is why I'm on a podcast telling people about it.
Don't do it, kids. Don't try this at home.
Watch Brad Mondo on YouTube. He tells you not to bleach your own hair. He's wise. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many times.
My hair, the worst possible one, I think, was on my 21st birthday. I decided to go from pitch black to platinum blonde. And as many people know, you can't do that in one day. And I'd booked out the Hilton Hotel, like their bar area, because I used to work there, so I got it for free. It's not like I'm actually rich.
Nice.
I was just an employee, and it was quiet season.
Those employee benefits are good, though. That's nice.
Yeah, so I booked out the bar area, got like the catering team in. We got things like half price for the catering, and all my friends came. There was a live band. I had bought this gorgeous like Greek dress, like one of those wrap around 20 different style dress things. And I arrived with orange, but I mean carrot top orange hair on my 21st birthday, which was fantastic.
It's a good look.
Yeah.
It's a good, you know, if you're going to turn 21, you're only going to do it once. You may as well do it in like dragging your ass from the beginning of the night because you know it's only getting worse from there.
Yeah. Well, my mother is a flaming redhead, so I guess I kind of resembled her in that regard. So there we go. She was proud in that moment.
That's my ginger baby!
Ginger ninja. Okay, we might just take a quick break so that Leanne can top up her drink because she is dry.
Yes, thank you for noticing. I was going to say something, but you caught it.
We'll be back. We're back. We just paused to take some photos with the last lighting outside so that you can see this gorgeous lady's beautiful hair. And, well, we didn't really manage to take many good photos.
So many. And we're like, everything sucks. Nope.
There's got to be one good one in there, but, no. We tried to get a book in there, but the ones with the book didn't work. So you're going to get one with just wine.
Just wine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wine is fine. And we are moving on.
Right, question 3.
Question 3. Okay. Tequila. You partied too hard last night and drank a little too much Jose Cuervo. What's a book you never want to see again or your least favorite book?
I actually wondered if you and I would pick the same one here. American Psycho.
Yes.
I knew it. By Bret, Easton, Ellis. It is a filthy, satirical novel, horrifying, and a waste of my goddamn time.
100%. I read this book probably 20 years ago. We'll pretend it's 15 years ago, so I'm not too old. And I hated it then, and I hate it now. I read it for a book club that we're both in. It is a pretentious, self-involved, like self-grooming novel that I think is just, it really is Bret Easton Ellis showing who he is as a person.
Which is shit.
And when I read it back then, I was like, I will never read this again. I hate this book. I pushed my way through it. It's boring. It's mostly boring, and it's peppered with atrocities that are so fucking disgusting and misogynistic and homophobic and anti-animal. I cannot express to you how much I fucking hate this book.
The trigger warnings are endless. If you can't handle animal torture, human torture, rape, death, murder, drugs, or just an endless string of naming brands.
Boring. He's so...
It was shit.
She was wearing Yves Saint Laurent, blah, blah, blah. And also I think that it's indicative of, like, who the author is as a person. I think he's really painfully boring. And he's made his voice, like, I keep getting all these alerts now. I don't know if it's because I rented this book or what. But he's inserting himself into this whole, like, Trump-era anti-progressive narrative that is really painful. He's very clearly, he is an open homosexual at this point. That doesn't make him pro rights of any kind. Like, he's very recessionist and very problematic, and I don't know. It makes me inarticulate because I'm so mad at him all the time.
I completely agree. This book did nothing for me. I thought, after, like, what was it, first bloody 100 pages or so, oh, here we go, here's a bit of a gruesome scene, we're getting somewhere finally. But then the gruesome scenes were so far between each other, and they didn't. It's hard to say because they weren't even scenes like, in Karen Slaughter books where the gore is actually something you praise her for. It was just filthy. It wasn't done in a good way.
It's hateful. It's hateful. And you can see his own biases and things coming through. And that's the problem, is like he clearly hates anyone who isn't what he deems as like cool or acceptable, which is like rich, white, male, doesn't have to be gay or straight, but he's just abhorrent. I hate him. I hate this book. I read it for the second time after promising I would never read it again. No, it's fine. I'm glad I did for the book club because it just like reignited my hatred all over again. Yeah. But never, never, never again. I hate him. I'll never read any of his other stuff. He's garbage.
Yeah, what is his other book? White or something, and that popped up the other day on my Audible account, I think, and I was like, no.
Well, and I read his other earlier books and saw the movies. I can't remember what it's called. The movie had like Robert Downey Jr. in it, and he died.
Love him.
Yeah, no, he's a garbage person, and it's a garbage book, and I hate everything about him and it and
I would like to see the film because after I finished the book, I decided that I wasn't going to look at the trailers or anything because I haven't seen the movie. After I finished the book, my partner showed me one of the trailers for the movie on YouTube, and it was the one where Christian Bale's dancing in a raincoat and talking about like some kind of a music thing, and then he hacks someone to death and he spatters himself with blood, but he like dances really funny. And like it sounds like more of a piss take. So that would be good. The movie's
way better. And I'm never a movie's way better than the book person. But the movie's way better. And Christian Bale nails it, and probably because he's also a douchebag too. But like
nailed it.
He's he's super hot in it, and he makes it like cool and sexy, and he takes away all the worst parts of the book, which no, he doesn't. It's not true.
Please just everything's tell me terrible. There's no rats or dead dogs in the book, are there? In the movie?
I don't remember animal cruelty. I don't think that could pass through the FCC for the movie. I actually don't remember. I don't think. Definitely the rat scene is not in the movie.
Oh, but the dog one, okay, this isn't a spoiler, guys. It's just a thing that happens, and believe me, it gets way worse. But a dog gets, like, pretty much gutted.
Multiple.
Yeah, and, like, has his intestines hanging out, and then he's trying to eat his own intestines, and I'm just like, what? And if I see that, I would probably throw myself off of this 4-story balcony.
I think maybe he kills the dog in the movie, but it doesn't show what the book shows, which is the gross graphic. I hate the book. I hate the book. I hate the book. I tolerate the movie. And actually, the movie's okay. But
I want to know, do you think that the things that happened in the book were fantasy or reality? Because that's the thing that, it was never really defined.
I think that the author, Bret Easton Ellis, who's a tool, wanted to leave the end of the book like, did he or didn't he? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like trying to be cute about it. And I think it doesn't really fucking matter.
Yeah.
Because the crux of the book is that there's this horrible fucking person who really is Bret Easton Ellis. This is a projection of who he is as a person, which is, I'm basing this on his previous novels, but also every single interview before and since this book came out. He is a horrendous person. It doesn't matter in the novel. It doesn't matter whether it happened or not. What we're looking at is what these disillusioned, super privileged, misogynistic, hateful characters want to happen. So these like Trump revering douchebags think that everyone is their prey.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't really matter whether it happened or not. He wants us to be like, did it happen or not? It doesn't matter because he's still a douchebag at the end of the day.
I don't know, because perhaps I'm missing something. A lot of people are saying that it was all in his head and it was never real, but it's never been confirmed.
Yeah.
And my thing is that some of the chapters end halfway through sentences, and I was wondering if that was where reality and fiction started to blur, and if that was his fantasies or if it was real, and you never really know. But I think a lot of people are swaying towards it being fantasy to get them through it, because it's easier to stomach knowing that he didn't actually kill those animals or the dog, or and it was just his filthy, sick mind as a main character. We have a book.
We
club
hate the
coming up
book.
with this.
We hate the book. Hating the book. Okay.
Bang, did you hear that one?
Don't ever read it. It's awful. He's awful.
It's your turn for Never Have I Ever.
Oh, shit. Okay. Never have I ever skinny dipped.
I have done that more times than I can count. Have you? Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
I feel like that's an easy one, and I just stole it from the internet list.
I googled the best Never Have I Ever ones, and they're actually really bloody boring. Like, someone needs to come out with a good Never Have I Ever list of questions.
Yeah.
For these drinking games.
Beer bong. What's a book that you read super fast?
Okay, have you ever read the Outlander series?
Is that the Stephen King thing?
No, I think that's called Outsider. But so Outlander is the Scottish one where it's set in the olden days in the Highlanders, and this chick goes back in time through these standing stones and gets transported back to like the Scottish thing where, what was it, like the...
It's the next day, and I am editing this in bed with a cup of coffee, so no longer alcohol-induced. And I think I'm busy talking about the Jacobite Rising.
Red coats or something, were trying to get them...
Definitely, I have not read this thing.
So Diana Gabaldon, she wrote the Outlander series, and I've read 3 of the books. Outlander, the first one, is by far the best, and to me so far they just keep getting kind of a little bit worse and worse. But I saw that there is a kind of like a prequel where it introduces the main guy character, but as a young man. And so the Outlander series, like I just said, is like this woman gets transported back into time through these standing stones, and she falls in love with this Scottish dude. And he's called Jamie Fraser, and I frickin' adore him. My ex worked on the 3rd season's recording, and I was very upset that I never got to meet this man, because I would have probably abandoned ship, but which is probably why I never got to meet him. But yeah, it was really cool to see Jamie Fraser, the character, as a young guy. It's kind of like, have you ever read Me Before You by Jojo Moyes?
No.
Oh.
Okay, also writing it down.
Oh, that one, it'll make you ugly cry. But it is amazing. But like Me Before You, the 2nd and 3rd book, I didn't think that they were necessary. And I felt the same way about Virgins by Diana Gabaldon, the book that I'm talking about now, about Jamie Fraser as a young man, because it's when he's young, and I think it's like a 3-hour audiobook. It's interesting, but you can only, even though it's a prequel, you should only really read it after you've read at least the first 3 books in the series, so that you kind of understand the characters. Otherwise, it's not going to mean anything to you. It was okay, yeah. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't necessary. But yeah, 3 hours on audio. I got through it really fast. So that's my answer. What's yours?
So when I was a kid, I used to read like pretty much every book like super, super, super fast. My home life was really a lot. And so reading books was like my checkout. And I remember reading like all the I don't know if you guys had Super Chunk. Do you remember? Like all the Beverly Cleary books, and I don't know. No. So a lot of like little kid books I would just like plow through like 2, 3, 4 times at a day. And I was trying to really think about a book like an adult book that I read super fast. And the one I came up with was Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk. Chuck Palahniuk.
From Fight Club?
Fight Club, yeah. I love Invisible Monsters. It's super weird.
I've never heard of that one, actually.
It's my favorite. Very, very, very favorite of his books. It's an early novel of his. It's very raw. I don't know if it was right before or right after he wrote Fight Club, but it's early days. And it's basically like one of those books where it's fairly short. I can plow through it in a day or less. All of the characters are super toxic and fucked up and not good, but it's also funny and touches on a lot of other things. There's I don't want to give away too much of it because I actually want people to read it for themselves and make their own things.
Yeah, so we're going to do number 5, and then we're going to take a break and come back to you on Sunday.
Are we going to do a Never Have I Ever first?
Yes. Never have I ever. I suck at this. Let me just stop.
It's hard. Wow.
Okay, so never. This is like the final, like one of the only good ones on this list. Never have I ever lied to myself about getting laid. Have you?
Wow. Okay. Probably. I mean, yeah, probably. So, okay, I'm going to tell you about a time that I was like a creepy sexual predator.
Woo woo.
Although, probably also being sexually creepy predated.
Okay.
Is that a verb?
Yeah.
Sure.
Predated.
It was a mutual predatory situation.
Right.
When I was 21, I was going to a 12-step program, an unnamed 12-step program that's meant to help people get over their addictions or whatever. And my sponsor, husband, was also in the program.
You sponsored your husband? Is that how you met?
No. Sorry. Let me clarify. I was 20 years old, and my sponsor in the 12-step program, her husband was also in the program.
Okay.
So we were all
connected,
recovering from drugs together. My sponsor was this really lovely African-Scottish lady, and her husband was an African-American boxer. He began courting me because he was like, oh, you're new in the program. You're just new off getting drugs, and we should definitely hang out because I know things about getting off drugs or whatever. And we ended up hanging out on a high school football field.
Okay.
And things were happening.
Not innocent.
And he suddenly was like, no. This is not cool because my wife is not cool with that thing. Even though he had, oh God.
And he was the one that propositioned you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was cool with sex. I'm sorry, no, renew. He was cool with things that were everything up to sex, but not actual sex.
What an absolute sleazebag.
Yeah. So when I was like, oh, cool, we're doing sex, and started doing sex, he was like, no, you're raping me, and blah, blah, blah. And I was literally 21, and he was in his 40s, and his wife was in her 40s, and they were my...
And he said that you were raping him.
Yeah. So evidently, I've committed rape against a guy who was cheating on his wife with a girl who was half his age.
I wished I could set his house on fire.
He was really cute, though.
Yeah, but he sounds like an absolute
No, he was an absolute ass, and it sucked because she was my sponsor, and that's one of the 5,000 reasons I don't do 12-step programs anymore.
So my story probably isn't as bad as that, but so I had my high school sweetheart. I had sex with a guy before, and then my high school sweetheart, and then we finally broke up when he cheated on me after about 3 years. But during this breakup, I'd always been the kind of person, because I was sexually abused when I was younger, to only have sex with someone that I felt genuine love for. And after this breakup, after 3 years in a relationship, I was like, oh, fuck it. So I went out to a club and I met this great looking guy. Like, back then, I loved, like, the blonde hair, blue-eyed, surfer boy kind of look. And met this dude. We got on well. He was living with a friend of mine. So I went back to her place for the night and we got it on. But it doesn't sound that bad, but okay, this is like the first time I've done it with someone that I hadn't loved, right? And he came and fell asleep while still inside me. Straight after he came. And I just started bawling my eyes out, and I was so young that I just bawled my eyes out. I had a modelling shoot the next day. Couldn't go because my eyes were so puffy. Went to the pharmacist, and I was like, oh my God, I think I'm pregnant. I need help. And I had to take the morning after pill for the first time. But yeah, that's probably my answer to that question.
I think in retrospect,
so I wish I could lie about I wished I could have lied about having sex with him.
I think it's really important that we talk about what has happened to us and what we have done as well, and like own our shit, but also like we have our shit because of other people. We have our shit because of us. Like, I'm no fucking angel.
Yeah.
Nobody is. And I think it's really important that everyone be able to voice the things they're uncomfortable with, whether they're at fault or not, because we are just in that time period where it's important.
So we're going to do one more Never Have I Ever.
Shit.
And one last question. And then we're going to wrap it up and we'll bring you 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other questions later. So, it's your turn for Never Have I Ever, yeah?
Oh, fuck. Is it my... I thought we just did Never Have I Ever. All right, Never Have I Ever. I don't feel like it is. I feel like I've had a lot of wine. Okay, I'll do an easy one.
Yeah.
Never have I ever... Sorry. Never have I ever had a broken bone.
I've broken so many bones. Never anything ginormous like arms or legs, but I have broken my jaw and my nose and my toes and fingers.
Wait, your jaw and your what?
My
nose. Okay.
Yeah. So jaw is probably the worst horrific story. It was my best girlfriend. She decided to shag my very first boyfriend, the first one that I had sex with, that I mentioned earlier. Ugh. And then I'd heard from numerous sources that didn't even know each other that they'd seen my first boyfriend and my best friend together. And I was like, what? There's no way that those people would have known each other. So I decided to confront my best friend at a beach party, and she'd been drinking quite a lot, and she smashed me in the face with a cider bottle. And yeah, now I've still got, feel this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like a big clunk.
Well, you can't see it at all, but you can definitely feel. Oh wow.
It's like it was a big crack.
Holy shit.
In my jaw, so yeah. And my nose, I got smacked in the face with a hockey stick when I was a kid. So just I was running along and being a tit, got hit in the head with a hockey stick. Explains quite a bit. What about you?
Broken bones. I've had some pretty bad sprained ankles and like dislocated knees, but the only bones that I'm pretty sure were broken. Like, I never had a cast or anything. Are my fingers. I'm pretty sure my neighbor... You can see my pinky fingers. One is, like, massively bigger than the other.
Yeah.
I was very young, and my neighbor was older. He was, I think, 13. I was 6. It's a very long and complicated, terrible history, but basically he broke my fingers.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever actually had a broken bone other than that. I'm really grateful because my nose is already like a weird big Greek nose, and I feel like if
your nose is way better than mine will ever be, so...
I feel like if it had been broken, it would have been god-awful. Because, like... And there are any number of reasons that my nose or jaw or whatever should have probably been broken, but weren't. And so just my fingers, and I have, like, a weird tiny, super tiny pinky finger on my... my left hand.
Yeah, it's like...
It's really tiny.
It's so cute.
It's really tiny.
All right, so question 5, our last question for this episode is spring break. You've thrown your inhibitions to the wind and end up having a sexy night you'll never forget. What is one of your favorite smutty reads?
Ruby Fruit Jungle by Rita Mae. Look it up. Rita Mae Brown. Mm-hmm. Oh, fuck. This book. Oh, man. Okay. So my sister's aunt was like weird queen of... So all of my aunts, and you'll find, I guess, in the next podcast that we make together.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's still a part 2 of this coming. Just in case you couldn't get enough of us.
So my aunts were all book lovers, but my one aunt, my Aunt Nancy, was a sexy, sexy aunt. My other aunt was the crimey aunt, so we'll find about that. But Ruby Fruit fucking Jungle was, I'm pretty sure it was written in like the 70s.
Best era ever.
I found it as a very young, probably 11 or 12-year-old, because books were always very allowed in that part of the family. And it was about a lesbian's journey to her sexuality. And it goes from, like, literally, like, her as a very young child touching boys' foreskins in, like, when they're 6 or 7.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh, we stole the book and went into... there was a botanical gardens near our house. And we would... myself and my cousin, who was a year younger than me, and a cousin who was a year older than me, and some other neighbors, would steal this book and literally steal it and sit under the wisteria, which is like a vine with flowers and stuff, and read it and giggle and cackle and like feel all tingly feelings about it because it was juicy. I never knew. I never thought about it because, like, in our lives, like, sexual stuff was real, like, but like the thought of a lady licking another lady's little things and like it was intense. We sat in that botanical garden and read this book and I feel like it was a major part of my sexual awakening of like, oh, not only do, like, weird, gross men touch your vagina under your panties, but also, like, you can get pleasure from girls. And it was fucking weird and wild. Number 1 sexy time book. I feel like...
Okay. I need to probably look that up, but I'm not sure about the whole 6-year-old foreskin thing.
Yeah, some parts in it that now as an adult I look back and I'm like, you know, as a kid you're like, of course you touch your neighbor's foreskin because it's weird and he's got hangy skin. But as an adult I'm like, don't touch your neighbor's foreskin. It's weird.
It's probably not a good idea. My pick is pretty much anything by one of my favorite authors, Colleen Hoover. I've spoken about her so much on this podcast already, but I love her so much, and I just finished her very first thriller novel. She's finally dabbled into the genre of thriller. She does more contemporary dark romances, which is very different from me because I'm a horror and thriller lover, but I feel like her books, because they're so dark and so real, they have an element of thriller in them. But then she decided to do this one thriller called Verity, and I've been waiting for it to come out for so long on Audible. I just fucking loved it. So it's about this girl called Lowen, who is a struggling ghostwriter who's desperately trying to make ends meet. And she finally gets some luck when this best-selling author, Verity Crawford, has a terrible accident and needs Lowen to help her finish her latest manuscript. So she starts ghostwriting this manuscript. She's just been evicted from her flat, so she jumps at the chance and moves in with Verity, her husband, and their child. But Verity's had this really bad accident, so she's basically brain dead. And so she's living with the family, and as she's sorting through all of her things, she finds an autobiography of Verity's, and it's just filled with all these horrors and the vile ways that Verity basically murdered, and these are all things that actually happened in her life. Like, it's almost like a confession of the vile ways that she murdered her own twins because she was jealous of the twin daughters.
Oh, her twin daughters. Okay, sorry.
So this is the author that's had the brain damage, and now Lowen comes in as the ghostwriter to finish her latest manuscript. Okay. So it's very, there's multi-layered, but so she comes in, she finds this manuscript, and the author's lying brain dead upstairs. She reads it, and she's like, oh my God, she's killed her two twin daughters. And then she just gets really deep into her disturbed mind, and it's so dark that you struggle to think that someone could be like that. And then she starts to think, because strange things start happening, like the main character Lowen starts thinking that she sees the author Verity by the window looking down and stuff, but she's a vegetable, so she can't. But she's like, oh, well, maybe because of the dreadful thing she's done, is she the kind of person that is going to be faking being a vegetable to keep the man that she loves, because she's already murdered her twin daughters to keep the man that she loves? So yeah, it all comes down to like what you believe and what, like, who do you believe and who do you think is the good or bad person. And amidst all this, Lowen is starting to develop feelings for Verity's husband. It's up to her to decide if she tells the husband the truth about what she's found out about his wife, about the confession of her murdering their twin daughters, and the husband's very upset about it to this day. And it is so full of twists. It's one of the best books ever. All of Colleen Hoover's books, I just adore. And my mouth was left hanging open. It's all of her books, which I think you would enjoy. They are all filled with like hot, erotic sex scenes, very graphic. It's such an addictive plot. So I highly recommend it. Yes, that is why I chose it as my smutty read. But you can choose any one of Colleen Hoover's books and it would fit the bill. That is our part 1 of this episode, I think.
Yeah.
Should we do one last Never Have I Ever and then go down to the pub?
Yes.
Okay, it's your turn.
No, it's your turn.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I did the last one.
Never have I ever had a threesome. Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a lot.
Really?
Yeah. I like threesomes a lot. And I used to do them a whole lot. Threesomes are more. Because I was always in... Before my husband now, I was always or often in open relationships.
Yep.
And my husband now is like not really very cool with that. Like I don't want to talk about what's happening now. He's opening up to the idea because, I mean, we've been together for fucking 15 years. But yeah, super hot.
Yeah, I've never done one. But I like the idea of and this sounds really bad, and mum, dad, mother-in-law, father-in-law, please switch off now if you are listening. Beep, beep, beep. I love the idea of doing it with two guys.
Oh, two guys is... So it's always... I mean, okay. So, full tea. Like, you have to just be really open, and like everyone has to be on the same page. And if you are feeling left out or jealous or whatever in the moment, do it. Like, say that. Be like, I'm not cool with this, because you don't want to have that care, especially if you're in a relationship with one of the other people.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever share Mark with anyone.
That's the thing. So, like, if it's just all casual, it's all casual. But if you're in a relationship with one other person and there's another person, you just have to be really fucking clear about how that's going to work for you. And, like, if you're not cool, immediately, because the worst thing is to be, like, in the moment, like, no, this is fine, and then harbor resentment.
No, I know me. I know, like, I'm a really fun, happy person, and normally I'm great, but Mark's mine. Mm-hmm. Keep your fucking paws off him.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's really important, especially, and then also, like, having a responsible third person who's able to be like, I'm the outsider.
Really respectful, yeah.
Yeah. And if that person is starting to feel like, oh, I'm getting a little too much attention, I need to back off. Yeah. But as a person who's been in, like, a lot of polyamorous relationships and things, it can be really good.
Yeah.
Or it can be really bad. It can be really bad. And so just organize yourselves. Be adults.
On that note, we will see you very shortly for part 2. It's Friday now.
I just waved at your computer. Like, bye. See
you. But it's Friday now, so hopefully Leanne will be back on Sunday to record part 2. So, we will see you soon. Bye!
Still waving.
Thanks for listening to Books and Booze. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter under BooksBoozePod, or email us at hello@booksboozepod.com. We're also on Patreon if you'd like to support our podcast by donating as little as $2 a month. If you're looking for a free way to support us, then you can leave us a review on Apple iTunes or Stitcher. It really helps other people find us. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm Jade, and you can follow my Instagram at boho_bookworm, and Kiara is my co-host, and you can find her under bookish.kiki. Until next time, happy reading and drink responsibly.